Hello, welcome to the Comic Book Club. I am your host, Jamill Payne, and with me, as always, is my host, not Amanda Coleman. Today, we have a special guest to the podcast. I gave Amanda the month off because we got something planned big for June. So I asked some friends to fill in for her. And today, I have one of my best friends on. And honestly, without him, there wouldn't even be this podcast. I have the host from my original show, as I like to call Podcast Prime, the Macadocious DJ, Jack Random. How you doing, Jack?
Hey, Jamill. I like how you said this podcast wouldn't exist without me. Don't lay that shit at my feet.
That's right. All this is your fault, Jack. How are you doing?
I don't want that mob of pitchforks and fires at my doorstep.
Well, you know, Amanda only liked in-game, so, like, I think she's done more damage than you ever could with the pitchforks. I know, right? Woo!
Well, you know what? I've been reading a couple of friends' online impressions, and Amanda just liking it is fine compared to the disappointment I've heard from a couple of people.
No, you know, those people full of shit.
Wow. Okay, well.
Look. Hold on, Jed, we're going to get to who you are. I just want to say this, okay? You know I've had Facebook off my phone for about a week and a half now, right?
I do know this.
Okay, so I put it back on. And there's certain people that may or may not be on the internet right now that, like, I just don't get it, man. Like, me and my son spent an hour in the car just talking about in-game and, like, superheroes and how it pertains to the comics. Why would you let some dumbass allegiance to a company steal that type of joy from you and your children? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Even if you prefer one company over the other. This is a major accomplishment. Why would you, like, rob yourself of that joy over some dumb shit? Because at the end of the day, all this shit is amazing.
Oh, no doubt. I don't disagree with that at all. And
I just don't understand it because I like a lot of people who I heard with dissent are people who tends to like the other company. Now, you know, yeah. and I just like...
honestly, that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about the cats who ride for Marvel. There are quite a few of them. Well, I'm not going to say quite a few, but I've seen the disappointed post here and there. And I've been quietly kind of lurking and reading because, you know, defend your position. I really, what didn't you like? And then the more I read, it's hard for them to define it. Like, a lot of people just really wanted a Thanos Hulk rematch.
Basically, well, you know, that, look, I'm not going to insult comic book fans because I do a comic book show, but, like, maybe this shit is maybe just a bit juvenile.
Yeah. There is that.
And, you know, maybe when you read juvenile stuff, maybe you have juvenile sensibilities. But I don't want to say that because, you know, I don't mind the Hulk and Thanos fighting. I'm not saying that. It just maybe, you know, there might be something there. Anyway, Jack.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Please tell my audience who you are.
I am a lifelong comic book reader. I am a lifelong sci-fi nerd, sci-fi novel reader. I am a artist. I am a DJ of the highest caliber. I sort of lean towards industrial techno, but and house music. But I really can rip apart some hip hop. What else do I do? Voiceover work and stuff like that. But I'm a professional nerd that hates every damn thing, really. And I'm grateful to be here on your program, Jamill.
Thank you. Don't get just started on the X-Men movies and Patrick Stewart cast as Professor X. Man,
I tend to be an X-Men, 80s X-Men purist, okay? It's an 80s X-Men thing. I've finally figured it out. Jamill likes to tease me because Jamill and our other podcast partner, Kyle Fulton, they both get on me because I am not a huge fan of the X-Men movies. I only really like X-Men, the first X-Men movie, and I liked X-Men 2. And since then, they can keep that shit. They can honestly keep it all. Because I got a little tired of movie after movie of Wolverine featuring the X-Men, and then the rebooted series with a bunch of X-Men I didn't recognize. You know what? That's not what this show's about. Whoa.
See, this is why I said don't get them started.
Push my buttons.
Okay, audience, as I announced on last week's show, we are reading today Dark Knight Metal and the supplementary material, but mainly the main book. Dark Knight Metal is a miniseries published by DC Comics, written by Scott Snyder, drawn by Greg Capullo. It ran from June of 2017 to March 2018, consisting of 6 issues. Now, at the time, Jack, this was a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember generally people liked it. So, Jack, let me ask you, is Dark Knight's metal enough for you?
It was overly metal for me. It was Metalocalypse metal.
Really? Okay.
I think they went more on. I think they went more with style and mood as opposed to actual storytelling. At least with the main series.
Right.
I was a little disappointed in the main series. There was a lot of build up to this, and the surrounding tie-in books I found to be better reads or just more interesting.
Okay.
I would rather have explored the worlds these Dark Knights came from, as opposed to when they actually invaded the DC Universe Prime.
Gotcha. So, for my 2 cents, is that I don't think Dark Knight Metal was metal enough. That's my problem. I only heard like 3 power chords the whole time I was reading it. And I wanted to hear way more. Like when you hear the name Dark Knight Metal, I'm expecting just hardcore like heavy metal like references, right? And imagery. I think like you said, I think the supplement material books do that better than the actual book itself. Because at some point it breaks down to friendships make you stronger, and I'm like, that's not really metal.
No, that's not metal.
That's not metal at all. You know what I'm saying? And like there's some cool imagery, like giant Hawkman with a hammer. That's metal. You know what I'm saying? But like I just feel like they could have did way more with this concept. As far as the main book goes, I thought it was okay. But I find this about Civil War also, is that like it just feel like a lot is missing. And what's missing is like it just seemed like the jump from event to event as opposed to being like a cohesive story. And what you realize is that's because all the interesting stuff happens outside the main book.
I agree wholeheartedly. There's no fluidity to the series. Right.
Well, good night, everybody. That's it. No,
we ran that joke already.
Yes, we did. Guys,
thanks, Kyle. That was a good one. Okay. Look, I should really start with this because this may have a whole lot to do with how I felt about it.
Okay.
I do not like Scott Snyder's writing. I have never liked Scott Snyder's writing.
You see, you are nuts,
Greg,
Scott Snyder.
Hey, fine. You know what? The quarter owls can suck each individual hair on my nuts. I hated all that shit. I don't like Greg Capullo's art. I've never liked his art because he's still got that stink of McFarlane on him. And when I say that, I'm not trying to disrespect Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane, I feel, is a fine artist. But Capullo was hired to take over Spawn from McFarlane. And so he was, mandated to draw like McFarlane. And for a long time he did, and eventually his own style started coming out, but I still see that McFarlane shit in there. And so I don't like Capullo's art, and I don't like Snyder's writing.
Well, I think Snyder is the best Batman writer of the last generation. No offense to Tom King or Grant Morrison. I think Quarter Owls.
Tom King stands head and shoulders above Scott Snyder as far as Batman.
I don't know, Jack. Jack, as much as I look. I won't
All right, go ahead.
But I won't argue that overall Tom King might be a better writer, but it's not for Batman. And I love his Batman because we've gushed about his Batman, but his Batman is a lot more light and slight, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Scott Snyder, in my opinion, like put in like some. I don't feel Tom King writing as good as his Batman is iconic. I don't think he's had any iconic stories. I think Greg Capullo, in his time with Batman, has pulled out a lot of iconic stories, like Court of Owls being one of them, like Death in the Family, like being like the other. I think Capullo has like.
I hated Death of the Family.
Death of the Family is really good, Jack. Look,
why? Okay, no. We've gone off metal now. What is so good about Death of the Family?
It's just a great Joker story. And I felt the last.
Is it though?
Yeah, like look.
Is it though?
Look, when the last time have we really had a really good Batman versus Joker story? It's been years.
More jokes and riddles.
Huh?
More jokes and riddles.
I think that's a better Riddler story than it is a Joker story.
It may be a better Gotham story. It's a damn good.
No, I take that back. It's absolutely the best Kite Man story. Anyway, back to metal. We're not. This is not the Jet Random Show. We don't get off topic here.
Whoa! Says the man who knocks me the fuck off topic every opportunity he gets.
Every damn time. Every time. But
Revenge Day, motherfucker.
And we don't curse as much. I'm playing. Look, I lie to you not. Clay wrote on one of my posts about the show and said, "Hey, Jamill, you curse too much." So I've been trying my best not to curse as much.
Do you remember? This is one of the first shows. I think it was before you and Kyle. I was working with the other nutcases, and I said aloud, "You know what? I'm going to stop cursing. I'm not going to curse anymore." And that shit lasted all of 45 seconds. And I'm not even the one who noticed I had started back cursing. It was the other guys on the show, and it was actually quite amusing for them. And it's sad because my mother refuses to listen to my show because I curse too much.
I know and just can't stop, so I'm trying. I fail constantly, but I try. But no,
it was just people looked at me funny when my son was like 2 and 3 years old, and I talked to him like I'm talking to you in public.
Look, okay, back to the book. Scott Snyder. Yeah. As much as I think Scott Snyder is the best Batman writing of this generation, I found this book completely lacking. And I'm not for sure if it's his fault or was it like a DC mandate to have all these freaking tie-ins.
I think it could have been a smaller event, but I think most of these crossovers can be.
Yeah, like it felt like it got way too big for something that's supposed to be like fun. I mean, the cover is Batman riding a Joker dragon, for Christ's sake. I don't understand why we need 20 issues of this.
And okay, let me say, I was kind of stuck. It took me a while to get into the book and get along for the ride because there was so much setup. There was so much setup. And, it seems like this event happens directly after another event that I was unfamiliar with. And okay, first of all, the prelude stuff. What was that stupid book?
I think that was Road to Dark Metal.
Road to Dark Metal. And it contained several books that on the surface are supposed to get you up to speed and get you ready for metal. And these books were taken from, there was like a couple New 52 books, there was a couple of Final Crisis issues in there, and then, the latter couple of issues of Final Crisis, so it drops you like into the end of like several stories, and you're not sure how they all connect at all. I mean, like say 5 books within a trade paperback, and you have no fucking idea how these 5 connect to one another. Because they seem to be unrelated books.
Then when you read...
And you get to go on, The Forge, and they make references to Batman and the Joker fighting to the death and Batman dying and some metal bringing him back, and they never go into detail, so I really have no idea what they're talking about.
Look, that's never touched on either. I like, as a person that keeps up regularly with DC Comics, Bruce coming back because of some metal, I don't remember that in the book at all. Okay,
they bring up the fact that the Joker killed Batman, but I thought Darkseid killed Batman and sent Batman back to the past, and they say, yeah, that did happen, but the Joker killed him too. Huh? And so I'm having trouble figuring out where in the DC Universe timeline this takes place. This whole metal thing is at the end of the New 52, because as I'm reading it, I'm flipping past ads for Rebirth.
Right.
So I don't know when this happens. I'm thinking it's a New 52 story because it's no short Superman.
Well, short Superman just came back like 8-9 months ago.
Okay.
So like he's been no short Superman in Rebirth for most of Rebirth run until Bendis took over, basically.
Okay, you're right. All right, okay, and also I see that they have John Kent there, Superman and Lois's kid.
Yes.
So it's obviously all right. It's current story. Barry was dropping way too many wisecracks for me. I'm not used to that version of Barry Allen.
I mean, look, you know how I feel about Barry Allen. They basically just made him. They basically trying to make him Wally. It's basically
they Wally-sized him.
Look, it just like the Flash TV series. That's not Barry. That's Wally.
No, that's Peter Parker.
Well, Wally's a bit of Peter Parker, but yes, you are right. You are absolutely right. But I don't know, man. I just find this story just like. Look, I love that, like, the subtext of this whole book, which I do love, is like everything is Batman's fault, and it will continue to be Batman's fault because of his stupid ass obsessions.
Yeah.
And this comes from a Batman fan. I don't think Batman comes out looking particularly well in this. In my opinion.
The big team books, well, this isn't the first time.
No, it's not. It's not.
Shit gone south, and you can, and most of it is Batman's fault. This isn't the first time that's happened. Hell, he made a killer satellite that took over the world.
So, I want to talk about the beginning of this book because I think what I want the book to be is the first 6-7 pages.
Huh.
This is what I wanted the book to be, and it end up not being that. It's basically when the Justice League makes the Megazord.
I knew you were gonna say that. That's like at the beginning of the damn story.
But no, not because they make the Megazord, because like it's them like covered in like guts and in armor and shit, which is very heavy metal, like, you know what I'm saying?
It's savage. It's a savage image, yeah.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that they put together like this, like basically this heavy metal ass robot, you know what I'm saying, to take down to take down Mongo, I kind of love that. And then like, you know, when they show the image of the robot and Mongo running, you flip the page, it says just metal, right? That's the first guitar strum I heard. I just heard, Mom, cause that's that moment. I thought the whole book was going to be this kind of like this cool, you know, light on stakes type of Justice League story where they just
the balls to the wall, big fun adventure, just rocking shit.
Yeah, and like the book ended up not being that, and that's what I wanted. I think the beginning of this book sets up unrealistic expectations on what you're about to read because those first few pages are a feel good moment, and the rest of the book is not really that, not at all.
Well, look, I don't want to. I think I should bring this up, and not take over the show, Jamill. But are we going to tell anybody what the story's about? You just kind of bitching. You just kind of talking about it.
To be honest with you, Jack, I'm not quite for sure what the story is.
I know. That's why I was.
I was getting to that. That was that's actually on the list of things. Like, I'm quite not sure what this story is. I kind of know.
My point. When I started talking about, I'm not sure how it starts because there was so much lead in that's so confusing. And I know you're saying, Batman coming back is not real important. Yeah, but it kind of is because it has to do with the metal that was used to bring him back that's still in his body.
But here's the thing. None of that is ever discussed when he came back in the Scott Snyder book. As far as I can remember, I read all of that. And I don't know where any of that shit comes from. Like, it's like they just put this whole metal idea out their ad. Look, when I heard it was going to be Dark Knight metal, I didn't actually think it was literal as it was going to be about, metal. But from my understanding, Jack, the story is, ever since Batman encountered Barbados when he was dead and tripping through time.
And traveling through time, right.
Barbados has been in the back of his mind, and basically Barbados set Batman up on the path to free him with evil Batman versions of the Justice League. Because apparently every bad thought creates a dark universe, but that world doesn't last. But Barbados took these nightmare versions of Batman from these temporary worlds to bring to our world to pull it to the dark. I think that's what the plot is. Excuse me. So, yeah.
So in each of these worlds, there's these, 7 dark worlds, right, dark universes that he's pulled these alternate Batmen from.
Exactly.
In one universe, Batman is fighting the Joker. The Joker is almost triumphant, and Bats finally snaps and kills him, gives him the General Zod, breaks his neck, and which releases a toxin in the Joker that only affects Batman. What it does is gives Batman basically Joker's lack of inhibitions, but he's still got Batman's brain skills and abilities. But now he's kind of Jokerized. That Batman fucks everything up. Fucks up his world, fucked up that guy.
So I don't want to go between each Batman, but like, which Batmans are your favorite? Excluding the Batman Who Laughs, because I think he get his own discussion. Besides the Batman Who Laughs, what other Batmans did you like?
Green Lantern.
You like the Green Lantern one?
Because he was killing. He was a crazy kid just knocking people off. He fried Commissioner Gordon. Just because Commissioner Gordon said, hey, you know what? You should probably slow down a little bit.
Yeah, Commissioner Gordon just suggested he need therapy, and he killed him.
Killed the shit out of him.
I think that one is probably like the most flimsy of why they turned evil. I think that one might be the most, like of all the other ones that turned evil, I could almost understand. That one right there is probably the least flimsy. It's probably the most flimsy, excuse me.
I don't know, because you give a 10-year-old who just watched his parents murder, you give him the most powerful weapon in the universe.
True.
Because he just watched his parents get shot and died in his arms. And I like how his willpower overloaded the ring.
Which makes sense, right? It's of course. So, I guess I also like the Ares Batman, because in the book called Dark Knight Metal, he's the most metal looking.
Yeah.
Like he's the most I like a Freight for Zeta painting, if there ever was one.
I like the reveal at the end of that origin story.
That like Ares didn't kill Wonder Woman, he did.
He did, yeah. I was like, oh shit.
That's like the Zack Snyder version of Batman right there.
No, that was metal. That's what that was. That was fucking metal.
So let's talk about the main villain of the piece, the Batman Who Laughs.
I wanted to call him the villain of the piece. He kind of was, but again, the main series jumped around so much you really didn't get a chance to see him.
until the other books, right? So that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
If you read the other books, you get a way more of the Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah, because he kind of recruits everybody else.
Right. And he's kind of thrown in the side of the because there's 3 books of supplemental material, right? So he's kind of thrown in the side of all the spin-off books out of the other characters, like the Teen Titans and stuff. He's in those a lot too. So you get way more of him in those books than you do in here. In fact, I feel like other writers, I almost call this a Jim Sterling effect, as in Jim Sterling created a bunch of characters that other people did way better stuff with. I feel like Scott Snyder may have created the Batman Who Laughs, but I feel like the other writers did a way better job with him than Scott Snyder actually did.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I agree. In fact, I really liked a lot of the art in the tie-ins.
Right.
Some of that shit was just wow. The hell they had Brian Hitch draw, man.
Well, you know what though? I've said this for years that I think DC have better artists because the mandate is everybody draws like Jim Lee. That's kind of like the mandate. I mean, they ain't been spoken out loud, but like all the art is similar, but it's stellar. Even to an extent, Greg Capullo's art, right? Like
no, it's better than it was.
Yeah, like it's all kind of Jim Lee inspired. Like I feel like that's just the mandate over there. Make it look like bring your own shit, but please make this look as much like Jim Lee as possible. So everything is kind of Jim Lee infused over there.
And I'm not mad about that. I'm glad somebody is promoting artists because Marvel hasn't. Now they're mad that no one seems to want their books because they don't look as good.
Yeah, like you
just
know,
because they spend so much time trying to tell you the artist isn't important.
Well, you know, they are the leaders, so I think eventually they'll be right just by the simple fact more people read their shit, unfortunately. But you know, it's kind of hard to
they're gonna do something about their art. I wanted to say part of my problem with Marvel artists right now, they seem to be pulling like a lot of foreign artists, a lot of European guys.
Right.
But then I'm looking at these artists on Metal, as a lot of the DC guys are from overseas too. But they're throwing down.
I think the difference is Marvel, like it's that thing I shared with you about the X-Men a couple of yesterday, right? I think Marvel won't like this, like pulls a lot from like this indie sensibility, which just doesn't work for superhero comics, in my opinion.
I don't think so either. It works on Hawkeye.
Yeah, but if everything looks like Hawkeye, like then all of a sudden it ain't special anymore. I just
that's true.
And that's the problem, right? It seems like they're just pulling from like this weird indie style, and there seems to be no style guide over there, in my opinion.
Like they don't have an art director.
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, a character might look different between 3 or 4 different books. Sometimes Kid Cyclops look grown, and sometimes he look 12. Like he's supposed to be 16, but when he's in the Champions, he doesn't look 16. He looks about. They all look about 12 in Champions. But then, but then you go to another book, he looks like 15 or 16, and it's just like it's weird, man. It's just weird what Marvel does over there. So, Batman opens a portal to like hell, basically. After all his friends told him not to. I mean, I don't even know how to review this book, honestly.
The first couple of issues are the Justice League kind of chasing Batman and hunting for him as he is deliberately putting the slip on, and because he's obsessed, he's found a Hawkman journal. Hawkman, evidently the immortal Hawkman, named sort of immortal, he just gets resurrected endlessly. Reincarnated, rather. That's different. And so it turns out for every resurrection, every reincarnation, he's been searching for the mysteries of some metal. And Batman finds this journal, and he's searching for the metal because if all the metal comes together, it's supposed to open this portal and the evil Barbados is coming through, or whatever his name is.
So
everybody knows that this dude's coming through if Batman gets all this shit together, so everybody's trying to stop Batman, but Batman's convinced he knows better than everybody else.
And that's the problem.
And he's being led to set all this shit up. It's all a setup.
And that's the problem. Like, at what point do you put Batman in jail?
Long before this story.
At what point do you bring Batman up on war crimes? Like, at what point is it just too much?
Directly responsible for an interdimensional invasion.
So, can we talk about like one of the most out of nowhere wasted things in this book? Is that Dream shows up at the end of the first issue for no reason, and that has nothing to really do with this story.
There was no connection to Sandman whatsoever. He was just there. It was worse than the Watcher showing up in a Marvel comic and just observing. At least when the Watcher showed up, you said, "Okay, some shit's about to go down." That's how you knew that you was about to get some major story arcs or some shit because the Watcher just be standing there in the corner. This and Dream was just there.
And
just there. He didn't affect the story. He yanked Superman and Batman out of the end of time or whatever. He yanked them out and brought them, and that's all he did.
I'm very precious about certain characters, right? Like right now, Doomsday Clock is going on, and I'm very opposed to this. Even though the story's been good, no matter how many times it's been late, I'm very opposed of the Watchmen interacting with the DC characters because inevitably one of them have to change. You're gonna have to make the DC characters dark and gritty to fit the Watchmen, or you have to make the Watchmen kind of ridiculous to fit the DC characters. So I'm very opposed to that. As you know, I just got done reading the whole Sandman series. Sandman has no business in this story, in this pulpy story. If you're going to use Sandman, you need to use him right. Like, Sandman should only appear when something is absolutely deep and thought-provoking. This is the thing you use when Batman dies and he has to reflect on his life or some shit. You do not just use Dream. You do not use the Lord of the Dreaming.
And this was a straight sci-fi story.
Yeah, like, why is he even in here? They had Lucian. Like, no, it just feel like a bastardization of this great thing that even shouldn't be here.
I'll give you one from the opposite direction. From a fantastic sort of godly character reduced to this dumb little story. A dumb little character elevated for no reason and never. Detective Chimp, man, why was he in the story?
There's this thing about, what, Capullo has this thing, and like honestly, Tom King a little bit does too. This thing about detectives, like they really love detectives. You know what I'm saying? So
and I got that, but I really got that when the book starts with Carter Hall, Hawkman, who's I don't recall him ever being much of a super investigative kind of dude.
Yo, dude,
just been the big thug with the mace.
I've been wanting to ask you that actually. Like you've been reading comics way longer than I have. I was like, did I miss something? Like Hawkman origin is already confusing. Is he from Thanagar or is he like a reincarnated Egyptian? I don't know when.
Yes.
Yes.
To both.
Okay. All right. Well,
he's a reincarnated alien Egyptian from Thanagar.
Yeah. Okay. So can I tell you like one of the coolest things in this book is the fact that the Legion of Doom
the headquarters, Vandal Savage built it.
Yep. And it popped up out of a volcano. Apparently this is set up for a whole nother story. But, like, it was just cool to see that is now officially canon. Because it's never been canon before, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, and at the end, you see Batman designing the Hall of Justice.
Right. So, if all this leads to, like, them bring this closer to Super Friends, I might be okay with the story in hindsight. If all this was just some convoluted lead up to Super Friends, I'm okay.
Hey, you know what? Hawkman. Okay, you know how you tend to think of him as just the savage throwback kind of guy, big muscle dude who just really doesn't think, just hits.
Right.
I think that's kind of a recent characterization because Carter Hall was supposed to be like if he didn't run the museum, the archaeology department of I think his, civilian identity is, archaeologist, Egyptologist.
Right.
So he would be, and, he would be, Indiana Jones-ish in some aspects. He would have some brains and some investigative aspect. He's a researcher, a historian. So, and it is like, after they did the Hawk World series, I believe, I don't remember which version of, it might have been Justice League, the Giffen DeMatteis series, when they decided to make Hawkman just bash niggas in the head with a mace.
I mean, personally, I prefer that version, but that's just me.
Yeah, he's fun.
Just give me angry Hawkman. Just give me the savage Hawkman. Ridiculous character, right? Overall, but just me.
I mean, visually, the whole nine. But it's just something about this big muscly dude who uses, ancient weaponry in a sci-fi setting.
So Jack, I think I told you this before, but did I tell you that Warner Bros. Commissioned a soundtrack for this comic book?
No, you didn't.
Yes. They made a soundtrack for Dark Knight Metal with some heavy metal artists. Jack, that shit kind of knocks.
Okay.
So,
get ready to ask, who's on it?
Hold on, let me pull it up. Talk about the story for a second, if you will.
Okay, I will. I really liked the world where Batman went nuts and he had his AI Alfred take over everything. And so you had a bunch of holographic Alfreds in the street talking about, how may I help you, sir? How may I help you, sir? Just breaking motherfuckers' necks.
Right.
I love that shit.
Well, go over the different Batmans that they have.
Okay, we had the Red Death, which was Batman who lost everything and in a crisis grabbed the Flash and bastardized Flash's time treadmill, turned it into an engine, strapped the Flash to the hood of the Batmobile, and kind of did a Back to the Future, got him to like 88 miles an hour to hit the Speed Force and tried to suck the Speed Force out of the Flash, which created an amalgam Batman Flash that was evil called the Red Death. And all he did was just zoom through his world and knock everybody off.
So, one of the songs is called Red Death, that you brought Red Death, and it might be the best song on the soundtrack. It's only 6 songs, right? It's called Red Death. It is it's performed by Brian Deller, the lead singer of Mastodon.
Ah, okay.
And there's a song called Brief of Change, which is what is his name? The dude from Deftones.
Oh, I don't know him, but I've got a friend that is a Deftones guy.
I kind of love Deftones. Well, White Pony at least. I kind of I kind of love him. Let me see here. We got Mike Izzano from 21 Pilots. He's a former Marilyn Manson guitar. There's some names on here. There's some real names on here for the soundtrack. I downloaded the soundtrack. You can get it from Apple Music for free. It kind of knocks, especially Red Death. That's actually the best song on there in my opinion.
Okay, I'll listen to it when we finish up.
So what happened? I didn't find out about this to issue 3. So after every after every issue, I listen to a song. You try to immerse myself. Didn't make the book any better, but I tried.
That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, since your listeners should know the comics I'm reading, Jamill has given me via his app. He has, a Comixology app, and so, he sent me the names of the books he wanted me to read, so I, picked them up. And I normally read them on my phone, but since I am now podcasting via my phone, and had to make several calls and stuff throughout the day. I have not been able to read the books on my phone, but through the DC app, the DC Comics app, I've been reading these comics on my television. And it's kind of a cinematic experience.
Like, how is that?
Had I known about the soundtrack, I would have been playing it while I was reading it. It would have been, I might have enjoyed the main series better, but I know it would have rocked with the individual stories.
Right, especially the one shots about each character. I definitely think it would have definitely worked with that. Apparently there's an untitled sequel coming.
All right, cool.
So it did well enough.
Dark Knight folk music.
Oh man, Dark Knight rap.
Dark Knight R&B.
It's just all the Justice League members reaching for the air. It's
Dark Knight Trap.
Dark Knight. What was that?
Dark Knight Trap.
Oh man. Dark Knight grunge. Yeah, like all the Dark Knight, all the costumes made of flannel. Just.
Everybody has skull caps on.
So,
Dark Knight emo.
Batman goes missing. Superman get a message. Thinks it's Batman trying to bring him there, but it was a warning. But the warning is stupid. How you say it? Like you're not.
Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman have a code that they use if they need assistance.
Right.
Batman's code for Wonder Woman and Superman to come help is CD, which stands for Clark Diana. Wonder Woman's code for Batman and Superman to help is BC, Clark Bruce. And so Superman got the signal he thought was the signal for him and Wonder Woman to come help him, which was DC, which I thought was, a play on DC Comics. But it turns out, and they threw a hint earlier in the book when they had young Damian Wayne and John Kent being a little rock band playing the Batman theme, which is a 3-chord song with the D&C notes. It was kind of convoluted and stupid, but kind of amusing.
Well, look, I feel that way about this book in general. I call it like the reach, because like all of this just seems like this whole thing about magic metal and all this shit and how important the metal is. Like this is nothing that's ever been established before. So just to make this thing like the centerpiece of like your story, it's just really weird to me.
You know what the whole thing reminds me of? This whole 100 million book series crossover event, what this event reminded me of.
All right.
Snyder was trying to, this was his Morrison.
Right.
He was trying to do a Grant Morrison.
Which it was, as we know with Morrison, is always the great reach.
Morrison rarely pulls Morrison off. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
And so that's what I got from this, because with the foundation that he created for the excuse to write the story, the history that he inserted into the DC universe, the backstory, the multiple characters who needed their own backstory just for this one story, Metal, to work. Yeah, that's Morrison, man. Jerry
Cantrell, main songwriter and co-lead vocals of Alice in Chains, also did the song, by the way. Huh. Anyway, so yeah, it was just like, I just had a hard time connecting with this story because of that. Because none of this is true of what I know of the DC universe. Like nymph metal has always been a thing, right? Nymph metal has always been a thing. That's fine, you know what I'm saying? But like, when you start getting, but when you start getting in 10th metal and 8th metal and all of that shit, and it's just like, then apparently Cyborg has like some of the most valuable metal in his chest because of the mother box. Yeah, I guess.
That makes sense. But my thing with that, the whole thing, it's like with recent, and Marvel started to do it too, with a lot of recent, and it started, they've been doing it for a while. It's like every issue, it's great when like say the midpoint of a long running series, you get the story where everything you know is wrong, and they reveal some stuff, and you're like, oh shit, you get a whole different spin on historical comic events. It seems like a lot of DC Universe stuff, every other issue of every other comic is everything you knew is wrong. Everything's history isn't what you thought it was. Every issue, though? I only got so much surprise in me, you know? The best I'd seen it done was, probably issue 10 or so, issue 10 or 12 of Invincible, when Omni-Man goes off. And it completely rewrites the entire first 10 issues, and because evidently from the first 10 issues, we had an unreliable narrator.
Right.
And so the whole everything you know is wrong. Boom. Like, oh, shit. That was a good twist. Good twist. Should have seen it coming.
But also, me and Amanda...
every issue.
One of me and Amanda's main complaints about comic books in general, even though we do a show, is that it never ends and there's no change. With Invincible, there was always going to be lasting change because he knew he had an ending in mind. And I think that might be the problem. Like, after 80 years of these characters, especially in the DC case.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, what else can you do? So, like, you could almost forgive them a little bit, but like I said, I just think the story falls kind of flat on its own. Then, like, let's just go ahead and skip to the end of this. When Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman come back from, like, the deep darks of hell, or the dark, the World Forge, right?
Yes.
They're clad in metal, but it's not, in my opinion, drawn in a way to where it feels important, if that make any sense.
Nope. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because it is not, it's poorly designed. It's not cool.
Like, this is supposed to be the moment, right? This is like your heroes coming back. Like, I don't think the metal suits that they had on was particularly great either.
No, it was poorly designed. We didn't even get a good splash page.
Yeah.
Get the poster.
Batman is riding a Joker dragon, and the cover of that is really cool, right? But there's nothing the equivalent of that on the inside. And like for a book called Dark Knight Metal, you definitely want your heroes to look as metal as possible. If like the main theme is like death metal.
Most metal character in the series was Batman Who Laughs visually.
Right.
That spiked visor.
I mean, look, choker. I mean, everything, just everything. Now you know what? It is kind of a splash page, but it's just not.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just not the way you would want it. Then like Batman taking hold of a Joker dragon is just not how you would want it per se. You know what I'm saying? Like
behind the issue.
It's just so much. But I do like what Dick Grayson and Damian Exchange was like. You see, Richard. I told my father would come back. Yeah, glowing and riding a Joker dragon because of course he is.
Of course he is.
Because it's back. Because like no matter how cool I am, no matter how much tail I get, I would never be as cool as Batman. Dick Grayson can't ever be the second coolest person in the DC universe.
I ain't trying to call that issue of naturally now the program doesn't want to work. Oh, there.
Now, I will say this. The best thing about this book, in my opinion, is the Batman and Joker teaming up.
Yeah. We don't talk about this ever.
Ever. I used to have a joke as in, well, not even a joke. It's like when Bruce Wayne returned from death, right? Joker actually helped him return, and you thought it was going to be this moment where they come to like a brief understanding. You know what I'm saying? But now Batman punches him on sight because with him and Joker, it's always on sight. It's never no understanding. Whether you help me or not, I'm taking you out. And I appreciate that. So when they work together in this, it seems very important. It seems really, really important.
Oh, wait. The most, okay, you talking about the weakest of the motivations for Batman to go dark in all the Dark Knight knockoff spinoffs?
Right.
The Doomsday Batman. Devastator.
Right.
His whole thing, the reason he went dark was because Superman inexplicably went dark. Superman inexplicably went dark, started knocking off the heroes, and then he knocked off Lois, and then Batman was like the only dude left, and he had his last option to defeat Superman was to activate his personal Doomsday virus within himself, turn himself into a Doomsday to kill Superman.
Uh-huh.
And then went to other worlds, other universes, multiple universes that had their own Supermans. And to protect them from Superman, he infected those populations of Earth with those Doomsday viruses and made entire populations of Earth Doomsdays. That was flimsy.
A little bit.
But I liked it. I ain't gonna lie, I liked it.
But,
it was dumb as shit, but I liked it.
But the idea of Batman and Joker teaming up to take down an evil version of them both, of like a evil combination of the two of them, is such a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
And like Joker got like the hero pose and stuff, just you know, hands in pocket, guns, smoking. I was like, yeah. It's just like, I don't know. It's just something about that I really liked.
Well, that's why I think, you know, you like the Batman Who Laughs. It was a Batman, it was Onslaught. It was Professor X and Magneto together, except the character was more fun and better. Yeah. Onslaught was a shitty character. Onslaught should have been amazing.
I mean, like, just the
he started amazing, and then he wasn't.
I mean, it just peaked 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like, Onslaught is peak 90s. Like,
you know what? Maybe just me. Onslaught I thought was a fascinating, incredible character up until the very moment it was revealed that when he was just an evil Professor X, I was digging that. But when it was like Professor X, Magneto combined, I'm like,
Well, again, that was the original concept.
Mm-hmm.
And they made them change it because they thought it would be cooler if it was Magneto and
But it wasn't.
It wasn't. Because it was supposed to be Professor X Dark Psyche coming out after because he always
tired of that shit.
Yeah. Well, he always tried to keep it in check, and you know, eventually it came out.
Mm-hmm. Got tired of that shit.
Back to Dream being in this book, I will say this: after reading 10 volumes of Sandman, I kind of wish they had modern day artists on there, because like my one complaint about Sandman was like the art is really fucking inconsistent. So like to see, like, even though you kind of don't like Greg Capullo, but just to see like these characters drawn by, like, you know,
drawn well.
Yeah.
Look, okay, let me say this. I'm not a big Capullo fan. I didn't say he was a shitty artist. I didn't mean to imply that at all.
Right.
I'm just not a fan. But he's a solid artist. Absolutely. He's one of the better artists. But of the top tier better artists, he's like my least.
Okay. Not John Romano Jr. Got him.
He's one of the few artists who I used to like and just seems to get worse. And it's not like it's like he's deliberately changed his style, and I just don't like it.
Well, look,
go back and look at some of his old Spider-Man from like the 80s. It's a different dude.
Well, sure,
it's a completely different dude.
I even like his 90s Spider-Man. I like him and JMS together was like a great team.
And then now everybody he draws is built like the fucking Hulk, including, you know, skinny looking characters who are like, you know, slimmer, like a Spider-Man. Spider-Man is built like a goddamn linebacker when Romita draws him now.
and it got this weird cartoony style that don't really work that well in my opinion.
He's got a really blocky crosshatchy style. Now.
Yes. You see, folks, this is why we have Jack on this show. Because Jack knows terms that I don't.
Yeah,
I can just say art bad. Jack can tell me why the art is bad.
He doesn't vary his line weights on his blacks. If that makes any sense. It's like he uses the same pen. And some lines should be a lot darker and bigger, but all of his lines are thin. Mm. It's almost the opposite of Claus Jansen. All his lines are thick and ugly.
Hey, you keep Claus out of this. I won't dare you have slender Claus in my presence.
What did Claus do that you like?
Daredevil.
All he did was ink Frank Miller, and he fucked Frank's art up.
He did. Look. Those Daredevil issues are beautiful to me.
Okay.
God, Jack, I swear, I just...
Okay.
Well, guys, this will be the last time you'll see Jack Random on this show.
Hey, to each his own. I have hated Jansen since Daredevil. That's when I was introduced to him. I was like, oh, who fucked up Frank's art? What heavy-handed motherfucker gave this nigga a Sharpie? Okay, there's a book, to give you an example, what is it? I think it's the Batman Punisher crossover they did back in the day. I think Jansen drew that. And I think you'll see what I'm talking about. And I think he also did the Batman Spawn, because, they did a Spawn Batman for Image, and right. McFarlane drew it. And then they did Batman Spawn for DC, and I think Jansen drew it. And
I had those books.
And I felt like DC editorial said, just low key, just a shitty thing, just to fuck with, the new guys, fuck with Image. Let's give it to Jansen. Oh, this is the big, beautiful Todd McFarlane character? Yeah, all right. Hey, Claus, you doing anything right now? Here's a magic marker. Go draw a comic book.
Damn it, Jack. Oh, God.
Oh, I've been waiting 30 years to say that.
I know that. Was that cathartic? You feel better now?
I do.
You ain't gonna go to therapy no more? You ain't gotta pretend like you like Claude Jansen?
I feel so much.
Look, every time someone praise him, you just gotta grit your teeth and bear. Like, yeah, Claude Jansen is great, ain't he? He inked The Dark Knight Returns, for Christ's sakes. And we love that art. Most of it. Anyway, so look, we've talked about.
By the time Dark Knight Returns came out, we were used to it. Oh. And also, that book was watercolored by what's her name, and it was a good looking book. The colors, helped a lot with that.
So, like,
I don't think Jansen was. Go ahead.
The last thing I want to say about this miniseries is, it doesn't really end. Like, they defeat the bad guy, but then you got like 3 pages of setup of other shit that I just like. Yeah, that's great and all, but I don't need setup for the Flash, a new Hawkman series, the Hall of Justice, or any of that. Like, I just don't need all that. Like, just
but you knew that was coming.
Yeah, I guess.
You knew that was coming because every other ad throughout the series, every other ad in the book was for, from the pages of DC Dark Knight Metal, new heroes, new villains.
So, like, look, they defeat the bad guy, then the way they free all the people was they held hands. I swear to God, I wanted to jump out of a building.
Well, first, Batman did the dance-off to distract the Batman who laughs. Then they linked hands and said, "We're the Justice League, bitch."
Don't get me started on that ending. Do not. I love that movie.
I didn't mind the ending.
Oh, I hated that ending. I love that movie. I love that movie. I hate that ending. I hate this. I hate that ending to the life for the life of me. God. Anyway. So
I hate Guardians 2 Pac-Man.
But the song was good. The song was good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, shit. Guardians 2 gets a pass just because they play Flashlight in the end credits.
I think it get a pass for playing the electric or is it the electric blue light orchestra, whatever they call Mr. Blue Skies at the beginning with Groot.
ELO.
Yeah.
Electric Light Orchestra.
Look, I was gonna get it right eventually. I knew what it was because I was just listening to it a couple of days ago, but I drew a blank. Like fuck it, I'm gonna go with it anyway. That and Fleetwood Mac. I think those might be the two. You know, all the songs are good now that I think about it. Even the George Harrison song. Look,
it's a pretty good sound.
I'm gonna tell you this. He might as well stop teasing around it. He might well ask Disney to pay like $1 million and get the Beatles across the universe and put it in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because he's teasing it. He's got Beatle adjacent songs. Just go ahead and get one of the most famous space songs ever and just put it in your movie.
I heard a rumor that they're going to call the next one as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, you know what though? I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind Thor being in the
at least for at least parts of the movie. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's that Marvel bias. We're talking about DC comics.
Hey, look! Don't even get me started on Shazam. I never believe in Marvel bias until I seen Shazam. That's all I'm gonna say.
I got it. Well, I still have to see that. I should have seen it today.
See? Well, no, you couldn't see it today because some asshole kept asking you to read as quick as you could.
I had to read 50 fucking comics in 2 hours.
Well, you know, you had a week and a half to read it. You didn't have to read it in 2 hours.
But I could. But I knew I could, so I wasn't sweating it.
Had me sweating bullets over here.
No, but we've known each other for a long time, but I don't think I ever told you my true mutant power is insanely fast reading ability. There was a time I was running through like a novel a day. I used to average probably like 3 novels a week. That's just, and then and having a regular life.
Dork. But so look, we talked a lot about the main book. We talked a bit about the one shots. I think we should talk about the other book. The what is it called, Jack? Help me out.
The Forge, the casting, the
the Resistance.
The Resistance.
Which again has a lot of the story in it. Like that was actually better than the main book to me because all the meat of what's going on are in those stories. And again, way more metal than the actual Dark Knight metal. By the time
serious.
By the time Robin shows up in like an actual like medieval like cloak, I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. And what was that? The Flat Red Death shows up in a Batmobile filled with spikes and filled with the Speed Force.
That was kind of cool. Yeah,
like all that was cool. I don't understand how any of this didn't make it into like the main story. But I'm finding now with a lot of these series, I do tend to like the side stuff better than the main book. I'm really
side stuff seem to be almost complete tales.
Right.
I guess that's always better to read.
Well, I'm gonna ask you this question, and like it's a question I asked Amanda because we reviewed the Infinity Gauntlet, the book, last week, right? And we wasn't too hot on it, but I said, I ended up reading Thanos Quest, and that like kind of made the Infinity Gauntlet better. But like because it adds more context to that book, but like. We mainly read this in trades, but honestly, it wasn't been meant to read in trade. You're meant to read one issue of Metal then like 2 issues of the other books, then the second issue, then like 2 or 3 more issues of the other book. So it all
I had to download the checklist first, but then I said fuck it and just read the main series. Then I went back and started reading it.
Again, that's how they collected it. But like maybe if we read it as just one big, 20-page, story, as opposed to being broke up into several, like, because a lot of things in the Resistance leads right into what happens in Metal. You know what I'm saying? So you could almost pick up right where you left off in Metal into the Resistance and back and forth. You can do that. But since but if you're reading this in trade form, you don't really get that.
That's true.
So maybe we're just reading it wrong. But my argument is, if that's the case, maybe they should have collected it like that instead of separately.
I think they just put it out.
Yeah.
They just put it. And I think that's what they're doing with a lot of collections.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think this shit was probably written with the trade in mind.
I think most books are, in my opinion. Yeah.
Ow.
So, Jack, I think this brings us to the end of our discussion about Dark Knight Metal. Is this a book you would recommend?
No.
No. No caveat?
No, I would actually recommend, I would recommend every one of the side stories, though.
Except for Road to Metal.
Well, I mean, when I mean side stories, I mean the individual stories, the Merciless, Red Death, Devastator, Dawnbreaker, Murder Machine, those guys.
And I would recommend The Resistance, that whole series, which is like basically character specific things happening during Metal, but also ties into the main story. I'll say this. If you can read this in single issues and get like a reading order, which is easy to find, just look up Dark Knight Metal reading order, and if you could read it the way they have it set out, read it like that. But
read them the way they came out chronologically.
But as a story on its own, I don't quite think Dark Knight Metal holds up, in my opinion.
Well, there you have it. So,
listeners, Amanda is off for the rest of the month. Our next show, we have another special guest. My other co-host of the Jet Random Podcast show, Kyle Fulton, and we will be reading the first 11 issues, so the first 2 trades of American Vampire, written by Scott Snyder. That was not on purpose. That was not on purpose at all. Wow. So that's what we'll be reading next show. If you would like to get in Amanda usually does this part. If you would like to get in contact with us, we are at the Comic Book Club 52 at gmail.com. We are also on Twitter as the Comic Book Club 52. We are also on Facebook as the Comic Book Club, the least famous one. You'll know it because, well, you'll know it. Trust us, you'll know because it's the one with like 10 followers.
Keep it real.
Keep it all the way 100. All right, so for the Macadocious DJ.
Welcome to my world.
Oh, I do this every week. It's just as Kyle said something that me and you've been fucking up.
Oh, damn jinx.
I know, right? All right, for the Macadocious DJ Jet Random, I am Jamill Payne, and we are out.
Later.